Welcome. This is Still Becoming, a quiet space for noticing the moments where life keeps moving, even when we think it's finished. I'm glad you're here. There's a particular kind of disorientation that happens when the body changes faster than the self can follow. One day you notice that something is different. How you move, how long things take, what recovers and what doesn't. And yet, inside, you still feel largely the same. Not younger, not older, just yourself. That gap between what the body is doing and what the self still expects is where a lot of quiet suffering lives. The body and the self do not update at the same pace. The body responds to time, use, injury, gravity, repetition. The self, by contrast, is shaped by memory and continuity. It carries forward an internal sense of who I am that doesn't automatically revise itself just because the body has changed. So when the body shifts, when something stiffens, slows, weakens, or requires more care, the self is often surprised. Not because the change is dramatic, but because it wasn't consciously agreed to. That mismatch can feel like disorientation, or betrayal, or quiet disbelief, as if the body moved ahead without waiting for the self to catch up. What makes this harder is not the change itself, but the meaning we assign to it. We tell ourselves things like, my body is failing me. I should still be able to do this. This means something is wrong. These interpretations arrive quickly. They sound reasonable. They feel familiar. But they rarely add clarity. They add pressure to push past signals, pressure to grieve before understanding, pressure to redefine the self too quickly. None of that helps the body, and it doesn't help the self either. Adapting to a changing body is often mistaken for giving up, as if adjusting how you move, rest, or live means you are conceding something essential. But adaptation is not collapse. It's responsiveness. It's the capacity to stay in relationship with reality instead of insisting reality remain familiar. There are real limits that deserve respect. Naming them is not pessimism, it's intelligence. The trouble, however, begins when adaptation is interpreted as identity loss, when this no longer works quietly becomes, I am no longer who I once was. Those are not the same thing. Sometimes the body moves first. It changes course, signals need, asks for different conditions. And the self lags behind. That delay is not immaturity. It's human. The self needs time to revise its expectations, to grieve what was once familiar, to learn what still fits. Forcing acceptance doesn't speed this up. Neither does denial. Alignment happens gradually, not when the self is pressured to accept, but when it's allowed to notice without judgment what has already changed. So if your body seems to have moved ahead of you, it doesn't mean you're behind. It means something has changed before the self had time to revise its expectations. That space between what the body knows and what the self is still learning is not a failure of acceptance. It's a process of alignment. And like most things that involve time, it can't be rushed without losing something essential along the way. If something in you shifted while listening, let it move at its own pace. We'll continue next time.